Tool tip coming at you. The element of foxes. Tool tips. Tool tip Tuesday. Hello. It's Tool Tip Tuesday. Hi, everybody. It is me, Jennifer from Little Metal Foxes, and I have with me
Julia from Little Metal Foxes. Back in
and
action.
and
Helen from Little Metal Foxes.
hello, ladies.
Having a very weird hair day today.
Sorry, I'm rearranging shit on my bench here.
Fresh purple coming at you. So, here's the deal, my friends. I with all of the volatility of metal and the need to recycle and pull our own wire nowadays, and roller mill it down into sheet, I wanted to make sure that I had a way to draw down some wire that was a little easier than me trying to pull it by hand and falling on my butt.
Which you can do, but it's some serious involved.
Yeah. Yeah, I can only pull so much wire by hand, or tubing. So,
right.
So what I've been doing is collecting a variety of shapes, profiles of wire, draw plates, and I started to order a draw bench from Amazon, an actual like draw bench machine, countertop version, and it was on sale, and I was like, "This is great." It was only like $100, and I was like, "Oh my gosh!" And it was steel, and it had the winch, and it had the brace, and I'm like, "This is great." It's 36 inches long. It's perfect. So I'm like, I just need a small one for my studio. So it had said it was going to deliver. It was going to deliver. It didn't deliver, and then it said it delivered back in time. And then anyway, so long story short, I got a full refund because it didn't exist evidently. And I went to go buy another one, and they're now like $200 to $600 online. And I'm like, okay, I'm just going to do it the good old fashioned DIY way that all of my metal friends have done, and Julia has done, and
I have opinions.
And Julia has opinions, and do it in a DIY way that will fit my studio even better for less money. So I know we've had a couple of students that it's come up in OSA, of course, in Open Studio Access, as things do, and mounting a winch and a brace on a 4x4 that is of whatever length they can manage, and then you bolt it on your tabletop or put it in your vise, or whatever works for you. So Julia, you have a solution and opinions. What did you do?
Okay, so first of all, I want to make the point that the longer your draw bench is, the more options you have. Right? So the situation that I ended up doing is only about 4 feet long, and that works fine if you're making tubing, if you're making chenier, right? Because you're not making really long pieces of tubing. If you're trying to draw wire, you want as long a setup as you can get. And so your 3-foot one, you might well have been disappointed in anyway, right? So you might end up being glad that you didn't buy the convenient little one, because the problem is that it's very difficult you'd have to just pull really short pieces of wire, right? And you don't necessarily want just really short pieces of wire, and you want it, when you pull wire, you want it to be one continuous pull. You don't want to pull and then pull and then pull, because it actually changes crystal structure at each point when you stop, right? You end up changing it, as you know better.
Some people will transfer once they've pulled it, they'll transfer onto a winder that's part of the deal, part of the bench, and then they can just wind it and wind the wire on. So
you basically have a winder. So you're once it's small enough that it doesn't require the force of the winch. Is that essentially what you're saying?
Basically, once you get it pulled, you get it started with the winch, and then the winder's like on the winch, and you just continue to pull. but it's not attached to the draw tongs. It's attached to the winder instead. And so you just continue to.
Okay. I think I understand what you're saying. That is not what I did. And so I don't, we'd
Yeah.
have to do another tooltip that shows like how to do that.
Yes. Yeah.
So, what I ended up doing, because my benches, the bench I have here, this surface here is a solid core door, right?
Mhm.
And so it's a solid piece of wood and it's really sturdy. And so I just drilled holes in it. So actually I can tip this down a little bit. So you can see these things magically pop up. My husband made me some little
Essentially
plastic
bench dogs.
so that I could, because these are the holes that hold my winch,
Right.
right? So this is the winch, the Reese tow power.
What's the belt? That it has a belt, right? Not a cord or cable.
So and you wanted to know how wide the cord was, I think. Mhm. Let me find a ruler.
That looks like a 2-inch.
So the strap, the space in here is like 2.5 inches. So I think the belt itself
It's probably 2, yeah.
is cute. I don't know if you can.
Yeah.
No, we don't need to see it. We just,
Yeah,
That's
it's
2.
2 inches.
Yeah.
So the belt is 2 inches. It comes with this hook on the end, which is nice.
Mhm.
And then what I have, and then well, the thing about the winch that is helpful is that it will only go one direction, like it will only ratchet in one direction, and then you have to undo it to let it, so that, I'm doing it wrong, but
Yeah.
you can loosen it and then you can turn it. So you have to set it up like this along the edge of the table so that you can turn
Okay.
it. And then let's see, I think, yeah, and then it will catch so that it won't actually, yeah, so it
So it
won't go back.
maintains. Yeah. So it
Right.
maintains.
It can only go in one direction.
So then
right?
how do you set up your draw plate?
Okay, and then these just go through the holes in the bench, right?
Yeah.
I have these 2 holes. All right, so then the draw plate, I have these other 2 holes. And way over here on the other end of my bench, might be able to show you. If I can turn everything. Show you. So there's a ton of stuff in the way. If I can. So over here, there are 2 more plugs, right? And then I have these bolts.
Lag bolts.
They're just lag bolts, yeah. And then these fit in here, and I have underneath the bench, under here, there's a metal plate that's screwed on underneath the bench,
Oh, that's
right?
smart.
So that these don't fall all the way through, because I just wanted them to fit into the holes, right?
That's smart. Yeah.
So they just fit in like that. And then you can take a draw plate. You can get it out of its container. Come on. And you just set the draw plate here. Right. Now, what I did find, and then this is bolted on over here, right? So then the winch is bolted on over here, and let's see, and it comes, let's see how this goes. Yeah, so it's like, I was thinking, yeah. So
Oh,
it's
I
like
see. And
this.
then you've got that ring on your tongs or whatever those things are, the
Right,
pliers.
and so this hook, right, so the draw plate is over here. What I have found is that if you need to use a hole that's like way out here, you're going to need to have like, because this is heavy and it wants to fall off, you can flip it over and do it like this, right? It's going to have to fiddle around with this a little bit. But if you're trying to get something and it's trying to fall off, rubber bands, just putting a rubber band around is enough to hold, right?
Oh, that's
It's
smart.
like, it's just enough, like you can just put a rubber band across these and it'll hold it. Okay. So with this, my original draw tongs that I was trying to use were these. And I went through a whole process, this iterative process of trying to solve the problem with this draw tongs
Mm-hmm.
of keeping them closed, right?
Oh yeah, those aren't
this one
designed
only has
for.
one.
Yeah, those aren't
They're
designed
not,
for
they're
Rick.
not designed for this. They're designed for hand pulling. And so if
Right.
really my suggestion is, because I ended up, trying to have a way to keep this from opening up, right? So that
Yep.
it like this is jammed on like that, and then this pulls here, and then that was what was supposed to hold it. But it tended to slip. And so
Yeah.
what I ended up doing, because this was just a D-ring.
That's not a
or
good solution. Yeah.
Yeah, and I ended up having to file it a little bit to be able to get it over. It worked
Mm.
okay. It wasn't ideal.
Bad solution. Yeah.
So
yeah.
I mean, it worked, but this one is a better one because this design of draw tongs is designed for this kind of for a draw bench. So you would hook this on here,
Mm-hmm.
and then this on here, and then you can open it a little bit to grab the wire, and then as soon as you start to pull it, as soon as you start to apply tension, it closes.
It tightens your tongs. Yeah.
Nice.
It tightens the tongs, so it works much better. But yeah, that's the system I use.
That's pretty cool.
So overall, how long, between the end of your pliers and the draw plate, you've got about 30 inches there?
Yeah, that's part of it, is that your 36-inch draw bench isn't going to give you 36 inches. It's going to give you like a couple of feet, right? So here's a yardstick. So here's my yardstick. Touching there. Let me get where the bolts are. Where are my bolts? Where are my bolt holes? To move this back.
So you're just a little over 36 inches there. Yeah.
Yeah. So just to here is 36 inches, but you eat up some. I mean, even when you pull this all the way back in, like you can pull this back to about there.
Right.
Even when you pull it all the way back in, you're still only at about 30 inches.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And this pair of draw tongs is shorter than this pair of draw tongs. Right. So, because this was my original pair.
Yeah.
So what I was going to say actually is that what you don't actually need, you don't really care about having one piece of wood between the draw plate and the winch.
Yeah.
So if I were going to do this and needed longer space, I would do something like this. I would figure out a way. I might put it like on the corner here. I don't know if you guys can see me here.
Yeah.
Right.
Just basically move it to another secure place that's further away, and then you can rotate all your parts.
Right. And so it's like, if I put it, I mean, it's really going to be about where the handle is. I think.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing you have to make sure, because I had considered doing it, because I've got an 8-foot countertop and an 8-foot countertop, and I could do it across, which is about 10 feet, across the room. But But I realized too, just thinking about that, I'm like, this thing isn't bolted to the wall on either side.
Now that is key. You do like this. My benches are lag bolted to the wall. This bench and the bench that's there are both lag bolted to the wall. So what my thinking then was, if I could, now the limitation, of course, is that the handle has to be able to rotate past the edge of the bench.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and that's why a lot of people will use like the 4x4 or a 4x4 that is up to, you can get them 12 feet long.
Yeah.
And if you have someplace that you can,
you have
put
to
it out of the way.
that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
then you have someplace you have to put it out of the way.
12-foot
But at Pratt, we had one that was, I think, it was about a 5-foot. It was about a 5-foot length, and you would take it out and put it into the heavy duty vise that was in the middle of the floor. But the problem with that was that you had to get it started, get the wire started, which was difficult. But the stump that the vise was on was not mounted to the floor. So that made it really difficult. So if whatever you're mounting it on, you want the brace and the bench or the vice winch. There we go. That's the word.
Both ends need to be secure.
They need to be not only secure, but they need to be secured on usually the same thing. You're not going to break a 4x4 in half. And if you've got, I mean, those things are designed to pull things together. So if you've got something, even if it's on, mounted, this is pretty heavy and this is pretty heavy, it's going to put stress in a way that this wasn't, the secured part of this was not meant to.
If they're lag bolted to the wall, they're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Right.
But
like,
just know that it's easier, better, more secure to do it on the same surface. So for safety,
but then
purposes.
you have to have an 8-foot board that you have to store somewhere.
Right.
Well, I mean, yes, you can store it vertically, but yeah, all the details. If you have a little corner that you could tuck it into, then yes.
Yeah.
But you did have to, the difficulty in that is then you have to take it apart each time. But Julia obviously does that with hers.
Yeah.
And so
and
I've got
an 8-foot dryer, an 8-foot bench that I can put it on.
Yeah.
So for mine,
if you have that.
Yeah. So I've got an 8-foot, work table that makes it easy, and I can put it on and take it off. The most of the ones that you see commercially are going to be about a 4-foot length. And some of them, I believe, are 6-foot. You can get those. But those are thousands of dollars. They're steel, they look like steel sawhorses, basically. Mm-hmm. And they're chain driven instead of
right. Yeah, they have that whole track of chain.
Right.
Yeah.
And so the draw tongs like lock into the chain when you're rolling it out. The in the industry, because that really limits, like you were saying, Julia, it limits the amount of length that you can get out of a piece of wire. So typically you're going to end up getting out of what yours is what, about 30 inches of wire or tube, which is, substantial. You can get a, nice piece of wire out of that.
I bought this setup. I had never intended to draw wire. My intention always with this setup was tubing, was to be able to draw custom sizes and shapes of tubes. And for this, it's perfect, because the other piece you have to keep in mind is that you have to have enough space on the back of the draw plate to be able to thread your wire through. And then you kind of have to be able to, at least at the outset, you kind of sometimes if you have it longer than you can reach, you kind of have to have two people, right? Because somebody has to kind of feeding the wire, and then someone is turning the handle.
Cranking,
So for me, this was reachable. I could reach both sides in one sitting, this kind of thing.
Yeah. And again, safety wise, using the benefit of using the flat strap is that one, it has very little give, but it does have a little bit of give to it. And because it's flat, it's not going to roll and twist. So if you were using something like cable versus the straps are going to be safer than the cables are for that reason, because it's not going to want to roll with that much tension on it.
That
So
makes sense.
straps are a good safety thing as well.
And what's nice too is that, say for someone like me, if I want to draw my own wire, I don't do as much as you guys do. And so having just 30 inches, that might be perfect.
Right. If really all you're trying to do is draw something down to you have a thicker piece of wire and you need some ear wires, you need it to be 20 gauge or 19 gauge for some ear wires, and you need to draw a 16 gauge wire down for that. You can actually do that by hand pretty easily. You don't need a draw bench. So depending on what your use case is, you should consider whether you even need this. If you're trying to melt your scrap and turn it into an ingot and then turn it into wire, hells yes, you need some kind of extra winching power.
Or if you want to turn your round wire into square wire or rectangle wire, or and there's lots and lots and lots of different draw plate profiles. So it's kind of nice if you've got something you can, if you need some square wire, it's nice to have a square draw plate because the rolling mill isn't going to make it square, really.
Yeah.
You know, so you start out with
Figure out how
the
to
rolling
do it.
mill. It's great, but you know, the draw plate's going to do a really good job of that. So yeah, you know, there's also the option of using the winch and kind of turning it into a winder so that you can, once you get to sort of the length of the strap and get a little length on there, you can actually start to wind it with another device so that
Yeah,
you
onto
can
a spool.
pull
Yeah.
a spool of wire rather than just, you know, the limitation of the distance. So anyway, awesome. Thank you
I
both.
have no idea how this was in this box. Now I have to figure out how it was in here. I think it was this way.
We'll have another tool tip on how to put the winch back in the box.
How to put the winch back in the box.
But yeah, once I get this all set up, we can do another tool tip on the winder for the draw bench. But
Right.
yeah, we'll do
Yeah,
that
because
later
I'm
on.
curious about that. How to use the, you know, how to basically use the winch as a winder. That would be cool.
Yeah, and that way you can draw longer amounts of wire, you know.
Right.
So
Right.
onto a spool. Those are really expensive and hard to find even. So to buy one that's already made. So yeah. But anyway, thank you, ladies. This is good. Little tool talk with draw benches and winches. That's us.
And winches, it's a trailer winch with a strap and a hook, right? It's like a $40 thing.
Automotive store,
hardware stores,
Amazon,
automotive stores,
Home Depot,
uh,
Lowe's.
boat supply
Yeah, marine
places,
stores. Yeah.
marine stores are the kind of places to look for that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I got just, you know, not expensive draw plates, but you know, you can get more variety, you know, with a less expensive draw plate if you're not wanting to do a whole lot of industrial pulling. If you're wanting to get like a variety of shapes that give you more options, you can find some draw plates for not a lot of money. And doing one that is like in wood for tubing or for chain is kind of nice. And I know, Julia, you've got, you know, that, which we'll talk about another time.
Yeah.
But, you know, if you're drawing down, pulling wire, you're usually doing it by hand, not usually with a draw bench, right?
Nope. Yeah, I will say that for finer wire, like if you're doing something like making chain or knitting with it, you really want the wire to be very, very smooth. And so you're going to want like the tungsten carbide inserts in you're going to want a more expensive draw plate you're going to want to pay some money for a good quality Italian or European draw plate. Because the less expensive ones leave marks. They kind of leave little striations on the wire.
Yeah, they can. And
Princess
that's just a matter
Maggie.
of, you know, making sure, and you can get the tungsten carbide ones now for, you know, pretty reasonably. But you always want to make sure you're lubricating the draw plates as well.
Yep. Use case is a different video.
Yeah.
Right. We should do a video on how to, because
Yes.
I have opinions there too. And I have a little hack. I have a little hack for how to lubricate your wire. So,
okay,
but this time
we'll do that next time. All right, everybody, thanks a lot. Check out all of our classes that we've got coming up. Yay! Check out all the classes coming up on littlemetalfoxes.com. Go follow us over on Instagram and make sure you hit subscribe. Did you hit the like button? Do you like us? Like us. Hit the bell so you know when we're going to be here alive and talking to you in person. I don't see anybody in the chat. Helen, do you see anybody in the chat?
There were no questions on the chat, but we do have people. We had a consistent audience today. So
yay! Hi everybody.
So I'll see you guys.
Well, hi everybody. Welcome. So yeah, check out everything.
We got a heart from somebody.
Oh, thank you.
I've got to run, so I will see everybody.
Thanks everybody. We'll see you next time on Tool Tip Tuesday. Bye.
Love you guys. Bye.